Well, honestly, the voodoo magic allegations are going to be impossible to beat this week because double doink. Now, granted, I think this was one of our most earned victories, even though we almost blew a 13-point lead at halftime. We earned that final drive, but, you know, haters going to hate. Reffing,
I still
good
don't
this
feel good
time.
about it. I still don't feel good
Garett,
about
Garett
it.
still feels worried. We're just talking shop live.
Yeah, I want to just talk about that for a second.
This guy is a
It
beast.
seems like he just rubs butter on himself.
Right, because he had 2 touchdowns, baby. Welcome to
Welcome
Talkin
back.
Chop, the show that just keeps on talking. If you guys have liked our live episodes, please let us know in the comments below, and also leave a 5-star rating on our Spotify so that this keeps getting pushed out to more and more Chiefs fans so we can hear all the chop and all the talk that they got to talk. That was a great little
Yeah, that
thing,
was a
wasn't
smooth
it,
one. That
Gray?
was a smooth one.
All right. Well, last week we played the Chargers, and honestly, it was a rivalry game. It was a defensive game. We were all expecting that. But honestly, by halftime, up 13-0, I was like pretty confident we were going to maybe finally blow them out. It looked like Herbert might not play for a little bit. Ended up being he's a dog and only went out for one play, dang near. And on that play, we let a quarterback run for 10 yards, but with Taylor Heineke. But, you know, had to make it close, allowing back-to-back touchdown drives. They were running the ball efficiently after we shut down their run game in the first half. Honestly, this defense I can't blame because our offense just stalls so fast. I think the Chargers had to have won the time of possession
They did.
by, yeah,
It was by
exactly.
like a minute and a half, but I mean, regardless, it's like every time we get the ball, right? I'm expecting, okay, we're going to get down to the 30 going in, and then we're going to stall out. I feel like
Yep.
our offense is really efficient between, the 50s or whatever, right? And then we get inside the 30-yard line, and then nothing. We get nothing. I mean, later on in the game, we had a lot of really short, quick passes that kind of drove us down in the end zone. We ended up with that one touchdown we had on the day with D Hop. But we're not
Only
going to
played
get
55% of the snaps, by
right.
the way.
Still under 60. But we're not going to get that kind of coverage from every team because now they realize we only can throw instantly, right? Due to problems we're going to talk about a little bit later. But we're going to probably just jump into the injury report before we start really unraveling what happened this past Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start off with the news that we missed. Because obviously we've been recording these episodes on Monday. Lots of news and stuff comes out on these Tuesdays, Wednesdays. This is a guy I am so happy finally got a chance. Nico Remigio, welcome to the team, and welcome to a really, really, honestly, probably the best kick returner we've had all season. He looked electric out there. He looked confident. He was fielding the football without worries of a drop. Now, granted, I mean, we're so used to players dropping our punts from, the past 2 years, but Remigio, he would make a little move and he always went forward. He was confident. He was not calling fair catches if he didn't have to. I was really happy with what I saw, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, his value on special teams already has shown flashes of promise, right? And it's gotten to the point where we talked about this earlier that we're not sure why he hasn't been elevated before when guys like Justin Ross have, right?
Yeah.
We kind of came to the agreement the Justin Ross experiment is probably over. I kind of chalk him up to another Cornell Powell type guy, which Justin Ross actually made the 53 at one point. Cornell Powell did not, but if he wasn't going to break out last year, it wasn't going to happen this year. Remigio really showed some promise, especially with the kick return game, so I could see him probably getting bumped up more often than not going forward. So I'm really
What's
excited to
funny,
see.
what's funny too about this, and it's not really funny, it's honestly sad for Justin Ross, is like the way I look at it is Remigio is a prospect that is yet to even get close to his ceiling, whereas Justin Ross, I feel like peaked that freshman year at Clemson, and then unfortunately due to injuries has not been able to develop. And it's like we just want him to get back to who he was as a freshman in college. That's not exactly like a bar you want to be setting. He was a beast in college. Don't get me wrong for that freshman year, but like unfortunately, I think the train is over. He was really used as a distraction route when he was playing. So
Yeah, I just don't see much more value out. I mean, maybe he'll be a consistent practice squad guy. Maybe he'll develop, but we'll give the other guy a chance.
Yes. Well, and now we have a new injury to report. Well, not new, but it was announced last week. Miko Hardman just randomly went on IR. This was on like Friday or something, where he just got a little tweaked up in practice and tweaked up enough to send him all the way to IR. Now, Miko Hardman has been serviceable. He's definitely had some solid games. For this wide receiver core, 30-yard receiving games is good,
Yeah.
and he's had some of those. So, I mean, it's kind of a surprise. I hope he's back by playoffs. I mean, really a hush-hush kind of like deal. I mean, similar to Sky Moore, just all of a sudden ended up on IR after like an injury that wasn't as reported on. So,
I mean, it's not the first time, especially with how the season's gone. I mean, we've been riddled with injuries all year, and this isn't the first time, especially with our kicking department. I mean, all of a sudden these random injuries during practice are coming in. Now we're on our fourth-string kicker, relying on him to win games, which we're going to talk about later too. But it just feels like we can't go a single week without something happening on the injury report or during a game.
yeah, I mean, speaking of injuries to add during our game, Joshua Williams, who has been a plug-in guy for, first off, Justin Watson. No, sorry. First off, Jalen Watson goes down. Great corner. We put Najee Johnson in there. He's kind of been pretty not great for respect terms. But Joshua Williams comes in and he plays absolutely out of his mind. PFF had him ranked as the 5th best Chiefs player in that Chargers game. He goes out with a chest injury. That doesn't seem like a quick turnaround at all. Andy Reid said he feels better, but they don't really have any report on him. And that's a bigger blow than we need it to be, because Joshua Williams stepped up. We're like, finally, we have a corner 2 again. And then here we are now looking for a corner 2 and 3. But we'll talk about later who might come to help.
And Josh Williams, I mean, he came in for Najee Johnson. He was on the bench for a while. We wanted to give the younger guy a chance. Then we have to throw Najee Johnson back out there because we're already so thin at the corner position. Josh Williams goes down. Now we have to rely on, obviously, McDuffie can hold down one side. Now we have to rely on guys like Chamari Connor, Najee Johnson on the other side, and they are just not it.
And I will say, there is a guy, Tay Chires is commenting right now that, Connor sucks and Najee sucks.
I agree.
Okay, Garett agrees. Najee Johnson may actually suck, but Connor is playing out of position. We've seen him play great games before. He's asked to be a corner, outside corner. He was drafted as a safety, and he's not like L'Jarius Sneed. Unfortunately, Garett, someone brought this up to me the other day. We have like 4 strong safeties and no free safeties and no slot corners anymore. And that's been like a huge problem. You think about Justin Reed, definitely a strong safety. He played a little bit of free safety with the Texans, but he's a strong safety. Brian Cook, textbook strong safety. He's playing free safety in our offense. Then you have Jaden Hicks, strong safety. He's a box safety, but he's playing everywhere now. And then Chamari Connor's a strong safety, and he's playing corner. So, like, why couldn't we ever draft a single free safety over the top? Like,
I'm not going to say anything either. A guy that made a big play during the game, Cam Hart, totally wasn't really pushing for him during our draft live stream, but who's to say we could have gotten him at the right spot, which we totally could have drafted him instead of Jared Wiley, who hasn't played. So,
yeah, I mean, whatever. It happens to the best of us.
This injury, brand new. DJ Humphries finally got his first start. He was with us for a couple weeks, probably learning the offense and all that. Gets hurt. MRIs come in. Doesn't look great. We're going to talk about comparing him to Wanya Morris and Kingsley, Suamatia later in the pod. But yes, this injury sucks. I'm going to talk a little bit about it later. Maybe it's honestly not even that big of we're going to talk about it. I have a lot to say about offensive line, and I don't want to get into a rant right now before we get on.
We'll circle back to that. We'll make that the first thing we come back to. But I mean, DJ Humphries, I think he played serviceable. Obviously, you know more about offensive line play. I think all things considered, first game back from a ACL tear, and then also playing against Nick Bosa, or not Nick, playing against Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. Like, that is a hard task, and he is not getting any help on the right side either. By the way, Juwan Taylor was terrible today, or Sunday. It was not his best game by any means. And honestly, he got highlighted a lot in the broadcast by Collinsworth, and we have a lot to say about him as well. But, this could be a longer term injury. he said he feels better today for DJ Humphries. Andy Reid said, they're going to do the MRI like you said, but I still hope to get him back sooner rather than later because the depth is getting slim. And both our rookie left tackles, Ethan Driscoll and Sumataya, were healthy scratches. Yeah. We could talk before we get on to the next thing. Healthy scratches has been
a really common theme, this year for us. We've had a significant amount of healthy scratches. Some really unexpected one as well.
Dude, Josh Uche being a healthy scratch is
after we traded for him too.
This is the third trade this season that has been horrible. Now, this is interesting to me because I think Josh Uche is good, and I've liked the snaps that he's played. I've been hyper fixating on him when he's on the field and he gets a good power rush every now and again. Don't know why he's not out there more. It could be some stuff of like not learning the playbook or not doing his assignment properly, but that's another guy we traded a 7th rounder for. We traded for Peyton Hendershot, who he made the roster, then was taken off the roster, then injuries brought him back on the roster, then he himself got injured, so that trade hasn't really worked out. And when he has played, he hasn't been that good. I got in a fight with Roquan Smith in one of the times he played, so I mean there's that. And then you have the trade for Cam Thomas, who we're about to play this week because now he's on the Browns. So I mean, man.
And with Joshua Uche too, it's like I feel like we made that trade because we realized we're getting a lot of pressures. We're not getting a lot of sacks. We got in a guy that had a pretty decent amount of sacks, the year prior, and then we don't play him. So not sure why we're giving up capital for a guy that we're just gonna, ride with us to whatever playoff spot we make and hopefully a Super Bowl, right? He's just gonna be Melvin Gordon. It's like, oh, I got carried. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Jackson, do you have breaking news? Is this actually true? Is this real news?
Is that legit?
Well, apparently he had been So apparently Bill Belichick has been talking to representatives from UNC. Let me pull this back up because he then went on to the Pat McAfee show.
That'd kind of be a crazy pickup for them.
Couple of good conversations. We'll see how it goes. It seems like college football is more like pro football.
Is that what he said? Wow, that's kind of a great take, honestly, for Belichick. Like if he starts, you got to think you're not coaching kids anymore. You're coaching professional athletes in college now. So, I mean,
they're getting paid as much, so might as well.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, if the whole court case that's going on right now falls through, and it turns that colleges are going to be the ones that are responsible for paying the players. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, and I saw too that there was rumors that Bill Belichick would have to. He wanted his son as his eventual replacement if he took the UNC job, and I mean, I'm sure they're going to give him whatever he wants.
It's Bill Belichick, so they probably will.
Yeah, it would be kind of funny to see him go back to college. Or go to college because I don't know. It's a legend, the I almost said the Chargers, the UNC, what are they? Tar Heels. The Tar Heels, they had Mac Brown, who was like a winner at Texas, won them a national championship. So they like to get their washed up coaches, I guess. I don't know, but they fired him, Joe. That is your daily Bill Belichick update.
Yeah, thank you, Jackson. Appreciate it.
But yeah, back to the signing of the week. This is a signing Garett is so ecstatic about. Welcome to the team, Steven Nelson, legendary corner for the Chiefs. There was a time period where Chiefs fans did not like him, but his final season with us in 2018 was one of his best, and his second best or first best season, honestly, was last year, the year he decided to retire. But guess what? Veach said, you're going to be unretiring right now because we really need you, and we probably won't win the Super Bowl.
It's like we need an actual corner, so, look, I'm not crazy ecstatic. He had, a decent season with the Texans, but until I can see, his output on the field has improved from the last time we saw him in red and yellow, we'll see. I will, as we have said before on the pod, stay cautiously optimistic.
I love that. Cautiously optimistic about Steven Nelson. He did just turn 31, so he's getting up there, and he was retired. But, last season, including playoffs, 5 interceptions, 8 pass breakups, and 1 touchdown. and a 73 PFF grade. So, I mean, that's pretty good.
Couldn't be worse than Connor, right?
I mean, our current corners, I think Roland Wallace has an interception, but I mean, in the last like 5-6 weeks, I haven't seen a single corner get an interception. This is definitely a Jackson, please look this up stat because we need to fact check it. But I want to know how our corners have been doing interception wise. Trent McDuffie still has not gotten an interception his entire career, which is crazy. But
they just don't. I mean, they don't throw to him. What can we say? He has no opportunity to.
He did allow Josh Palmer to get some yards recently, though, and we're going to talk about that soon. But let's take some questions, and then we're going to talk about the offensive line because this offensive line is pretty.
Yeah,
bad.
we really got to talk about this offensive line for sure.
Someone did say that we're missing Snead. Honestly, I think we're missing the production Snead brought. But Snead himself is not the solution. I mean, look at what he's done in Tennessee. Nothing. He's been injured. We knew he was injured when we tried to trade him. That's why we got nothing for him. And honestly, I mean, even getting a 4th-round pick at this point was pretty solid. But, L'Jarius Snead as a player, when he was good, that's the type of player we're missing. And Joshua Williams had a little bit of that. That run tackling corner with some ability to play one-on-one outside and man coverage is definitely a position we're missing, and we might be missing it now too with Josh Williams hurt. So I mean, that solution's not solved.
Defense would be fine if we had Watson. I mean, yeah, we'd definitely be a lot better off. I mean, he's really the only other like true cornerback we had on the roster besides Trent McDuffie, other than all the strong safeties we're trying to just throw in there at nickel corner. So we'll see what Spags can do with that.
Currently, the only cornerback, at least, that has an interception is Christian Roland Wallace. The other 5 interceptions have all come from safeties.
How did I know that? It's crazy. That's actually sad that that's the only player to get an interception at our corner position.
Mm-hmm.
No way. Wow.
I mean, hey, all of our DBs are essentially safeties besides McDuffie, so I mean, it's not surprising that our safeties are the only people to get picks. And yes, we can see the YouTube comments.
Yes. Sorry. Anonymous Mango. Let's answer some of those. They said Mikul's injury is related to meniscus. And Remigio will be around for the playoffs. In this case, are you happy with Remigio back there? Yes. I'm kind of a Hardman hater. He gets me, he's shown me to be wrong at some times. And yes, he's credited with our clutch touchdown at the end of the Super Bowl. But, Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney have also done that. And as someone pointed out in one of our Chiefs group chats, it really could have been anyone who did it. Not to take away from the moment for Hardman. That was a huge moment. But I love what I'm seeing from Remigio. I think he has what I think is underrated about him. His bunnies, he can jump really high, and he is fast. He's got fast twitch. He's young. He's energetic. You want a guy who's hungry. We do keep bringing back the old players that have already won Super Bowls with us. And yes, that championship mentality is really good, but you need some hungry young players. And so that's why I like Remigio back there. I mean, Garrett, do you have any?
Yeah, I mean, it's just tough to gauge because obviously we only saw Remigio just last Sunday, right? So we've only seen a little bit of time.
Well, in preseason though.
And preseason. I mean, I think he has a lot of upside, so we'll see. We'll see where he goes from there. I expect him to probably make the 53 from here on out, until Mecole comes back from whatever injury he's dealing with right now.
Yeah, and then he also wondered if Keith Taylor would get waived. That probably seems like the likely scenario, although honestly we might just keep more corners and cut who does get cut? Our running back room is an interesting one because we still use them all except for Clyde, but I don't see us cutting Clyde because I think we're giving him a healthy scratch spot every week for his mental health issue, which is super cool, and I love that we're doing that. So I don't see Clyde getting it. And no, I don't want to cut Uche, but it could be him.
We will see.
I
will say, though.
It might be Malik Herring. I think it could be Malik Herring.
Yeah, probably. I will say, though, we're about to talk about some people that probably should get cut, at least by the end of the season, next year in the offseason.
Because right now we don't have anything better than them. Yeah.
So we need to talk about it. I mean, this is the Mahomes burden, the devil magic possibly ender. It's our offensive line, specifically our tackles, right? We've talked about before, our interior 3, some of the best in the league. Best left guard in the league, best center in the league, top 5 right guard in the league, right? easily the best interior offensive line in football. Now we get to the outside, right? And it's literally the exact opposite. We have, I'm not even joking, the two worst starting tackles in the league at both sides. That's not even a joke, right? You could say, oh, so-and-so has a worse right tackle. In tandem, they are significantly the worst tackle duo in the league. It's not even close. And we saw DJ Humphries go out there last night taking over for Wanye Morris. Before the injury, I said, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. It was his first game, hasn't seen too much of the playbook. That's what I'm going to chalk his penalty up to. Last night he had one penalty. We're going to talk about some of his stats in terms of pressures and all that as well. But
did he allow a sack, though?
He allowed one. He allowed one sack.
Okay.
I believe. Yeah, it was one sack. However, I'm going to take the penalty away. Just jump the cadence. That's from, a brand new quarterback, hasn't been in the system. Learning that you're in Arrowhead for the first time, jitters. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. We will see what comes into play with his injury. If he comes back, I want to give him one more game, see if he can, perform a little bit better. He was lining up almost every single snap against guys like Bosa and Khalil Mack. So those are, two really, well-established, phenomenal pass rushers. Another benefit of the doubt. However, right, numbers-wise, 5 pressures in one game, 3 hurries, a sack, a penalty. These aren't numbers you really want to see out of your left tackle, right?
No.
And we can talk all about, pass protection is not there. Pass protection is not this. I want to talk about another side of that kind of thing before we get to Juwan. Oh, I'm going to go off on Juwan Taylor. Don't worry. I'm going to talk about something that a lot of people really aren't kind of talking about because it's just another kind of like level of the game that people don't understand, especially because this is still part of our tackles. We had 20 carries total with our running backs, not counting Mahomes' scrambles, right? Which sounds decent, but I would say
they all came on the
last drive, right? We were just rushing down, charging down the field. Obviously, we get pulled back because of a really stupid, mistimed Trey Smith penalty. He hasn't really done that in a long time. Hopefully he can get that out of the system. However, our offense, especially in the run game, is extremely heavy inside zone and counter base because we're trying to get our best offensive linemen moving and our offensive tackles, who are our least, performing offensive linemen, just really easy down blocks getting guys out of the way, right? What we see throughout the game as it's developing is we can start off with these really nice runs, we get it going, and then we get stuffed. Then we force ourselves to get into these like 40, passing situations where Mahomes is constantly getting lit up in pressure because we can't protect anyway on the tackles, right? We are not an outside zone team, even though our personnel, we could, especially with our running back room, with Isaiah Pacheco, he's really got really decent speed. A guy like Samaje Perine, he's really good on the outside as well, right? But we can't get those plays. Why? Because who is the point of attack on an outside zone? It's our tackles, right? So when people talk about how, our run game is really predictable, it's because it is. Because where are we going to go every single time when we run the ball?
Up the middle.
Up the middle, up the get, because we can't run outside, right? We can get these guys in motion, but it's not going to do much, right? These defenses, they're a lot smarter than the average NFL fan, right? They know where we're going to fit our gaps, they know where we're going to attack because it's the only place we're allowed to. Yeah. Because of our tackles, responsibilities.
No, absolutely. There is so many more fundamental issues with the bad tackle play than just, Mahomes gets sacked a bunch. It is, quite frankly, it's the building block of the entire team. And if we can't get that right, you can't win. We've seen it, Garrett. We've seen the graphic of the 5 guys that started in the Super Bowl against Tom Brady. And we've seen the plays that Mahomes made to try to win that game. You know what is sad to admit? Mahomes can't do that anymore. That was in 2020. We are in 2024. Mahomes has had many knee and ankle injuries since then. He cannot run for his life like that anymore. And man, we're going to get him killed. We are going to get him killed. I am surprised he is still healthy. And honestly, healthy is a stretch. He is hurt, but playing.
Yeah. And I always say it's like the 3 hardest positions in football are quarterback, cornerback, and left tackle. So I always like to give our tackles the benefit of that. But when you are consistently playing at such a poor level, things need to change, right? And as of right now, especially with DJ Humphries going down and guys like Donovan Smith, David Bakhtiari, obviously not picking up the phone, I'm not sure that we have a long-term solution unless it's sending Tuani out to tackle exclusively for the rest of the season and moving a guy like Caliendo up into the starting role. It's just, our tackles are not good. They are probably the worst in the league. They can't block in pass or run. So there's not much you can do on that end. And then a guy like Jawan Taylor, who has consistently shown that he is just, I mean, let me talk about this for a second.
Yeah. Speaking of Jawan Taylor, like, Chris Collinsworth could not get him out of his mouth, and he was critiquing how he lined up. But Garrett, you're saying, it's technically legal, but it does put us at a disadvantage what he's doing. It puts us at a huge disadvantage.
Yeah, so the way Jawan Taylor plays offensive tackle on the right side, right? He does the exact same thing Lane Johnson does for the Eagles. If you watch them play, you'll know what I'm talking about, where on pass play specifically, he has this little loophole in the rules that means if you are resetting your outside foot, not your plant foot, you can move before the snap. That's why you see a lot of these guys being like, oh, I think you went a little early there, and Chris Collinsworth just, I think they got away with that one. It's not a false start. I disagree with the loophole, but if it's there, they're going to use it. Hopefully it's changed soon. That way guys like Lane Johnson and Jawan Taylor can't take advantage and get, a severe advantage in pass rush against pass rushers, right? He's leaving early. He's not false starting. It's resetting his back foot. I know it's stupid, but that's just the way the rule book's laid out. However, it's also a negative benefit to us because what are they going to see any single time Jawan Taylor kicks back early? We're passing the ball, right? He never does that on secure rundowns. He only does it on RPOs and pure dropbacks. So the moment they see him rocking back, every single defender on the field can go, all right, they're passing the ball. Right?
So not only do we have tackles outside that cannot, block for a run, but also we have a tackle that literally tells the defense if we're passing or running every play. So not only is the tackle play bad, but the tackle has a tell.
Yeah, and the worst part about it is he's getting an early jump and he's still getting beat outside. So he's basically cheating and still losing.
He's cheating, what is the benefit? Still sucks.
Right? He's giving away our tells. He's cheating and he's losing. So it's a lose for Jawan Taylor, and he's getting paid $80 million.
What a story.
Hopefully, if there is any single Chiefs player that I want gone come next year, it is Jawan Taylor first.
There's no saving him. You don't think there's any saving his game? I'm just mad at Veach a little bit because how did he not see that in Jawan's tape with the Jacksonville Jaguars? Like, he's had 3 or 4 years of tape there. Like, and you want to pay him like the $40 million or the $20 million a year? Like, I know Orlando Brown Jr. definitely isn't good this year either, but he's slightly better or slightly worse.
All I know is our draft capital this year should go towards a premier tackle. I don't care what it needs to do to make it happen. It needs to happen.
We should trade up. I mean, I want Kelvin Banks out of Texas. I mean,
and before we go into this next little talk, should we fire Matt Nagy? Absolutely. I hate Matt Nagy. He is terrible. He's predictable. His passing offense is really weak. The route combinations are just the weak. It's so predictable. And no one is ever, even the times we had time in the pocket. I mean, Mahomes had a pocket for 5 seconds. No one's open because they already know our routes.
You do bring up a good point there because that was something that I was noticing about this game. I was like, oh, we have some clean pockets for once.
Nobody's open.
Yeah, and there was no one to throw to. We didn't have a single receiver go over 50 yards. That's not good. How did we move the ball after halftime is honestly.
And you'd think it's like, oh, well, they didn't have a receiver go over 50 yards. Their running backs must have went crazy, huh? 55 yards for Isaiah Pacheco was our highest.
Yep. I mean, we didn't really
run
the
14
ball
carries
either. We didn't really run efficiently either. So, it wasn't an efficient offense. And I think, honestly, these stats are pretty much the same from where they were in the second half or in the first half, because we did have a pretty good offense in the first half. It's just
can't score.
Harbaugh is a championship winning coach, and he knew how to adjust in halftime. And they just decided, okay, we're just going to milk the clock on these 2 drives. And they scored both times. And we barely had the ball in the second half, too.
I will say, at this point, it's getting to a decision that's going to have to come at some point in the offseason where I talked about it earlier, this season that I wanted to bring Trey Smith back. If he has to be a package deal where we can move up in the draft and get a premier tackle, I think that might be the move we have to make.
Yeah, I mean, guard play, we can definitely find a guard, and guards are a lot easier to plug in versus a tackle. Like, you've seen guys like Justin Pugh come back for the Giants off the couch, and he played pretty solid. Actually, was their best offensive lineman when they were super injured, but and he played guard. Like, you can pull guards. You can pull guards.
And
Kelechi Osemele. Remember we pulled Kelechi Osemele, the Raiders
then
guy.
But then he tore both his ACLs on the same play. So
Yes,
that's not like a great situation.
Well, I mean, he was great when he was healthy, but yeah, I know it's a sad end to his career.
I have a bias towards offensive linemen, and obviously I love our front, interior three. Creed Humphries is my favorite player on the Chiefs. Trey Smith isn't far behind, but I think the hardest part about watching that Chargers game was seeing how much time Justin Herbert had in the pocket because of guys like Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt.
Yeah.
Right. And I understand, getting a guy like Joe Alt, you need to, have a top 10 pick in the draft. Right?
Top 5. He went number 5.
And it's just not feasible for a team like us. But if we can get any closer, if we can get top 15 and they're still like a decent tackle,
Tristan
we have
Wirfs.
to give up Trey Smith, I'm taking it every time.
Yeah. I mean, at one point you're going to have to hit on a tackle because Wanye Morris, what is his name? Darian Kennard, oh my gosh, the TCU tackle, Lucas Niang, and then I'm not ready to rule out Kingsley yet, but those other 3 I mentioned were not solutions. In fact, they all 3 are pretty bad. Niang just got cut. Niang never even played. Like I've always been a Niang doubter.
The thing about tackles in the draft is it's so immensely difficult to find a diamond in the rough tackle in the draft because tackles are so important in the league that the good ones are already known. Like you see on their tape, they're going to be successful in the NFL. That the kind of skills translate very well. And so those guys that are in the top 15, those are going to be your premier tackles. It's so difficult to find one deeper.
And they're known from day one. Like Kelvin Banks has been mocked in the top 10 of NFL drafts, the left tackle for Texas, since he became a Texas Longhorn. And he proved it. And they're like, okay, he's going to be a top left tackle. He's still going to be a top left tackle. It's you know who's going to be there. I want him or the LSU guy. But those are just honestly Christmas wishes at this point because there is no way we ever get them.
And why did we pass on Donovan Smith? I don't think we did. I think he's waiting, and he has all the leverage in the world. He sees how bad our tackles are playing.
I also think he's not that good.
Yeah, he's not going to be much better, but he knows we're going to be desperate at some point in the season. I think it's the same thing with David Bakhtiari. They're waiting till the chips fall and we pay out as much as possible for a tackle going to the playoffs.
Bakhtiari confuses me because at this point, bro, if you want to play football, you got to take a deal somewhere because his career might be over now. You can't come back from those injuries. And unfortunately, the reason why Humphries is available, the reason Donovan Smith is available, the reason that Bakhtiari is available is because they all got hurt. And getting hurt in your legs when you're a tackle is not exactly, at that age, easy to come back from. So teams would rather just take a chance on someone younger. And that's what the Chiefs did initially. And it didn't work because Wanye did not deliver. Let's get into the good things, though, of the Chargers game, Garrett. That was honestly a beautiful 4-minute drive. I think we actually earned this win with that 4-minute drive. It was the best play calling we had seen that entire game. We ran the ball a lot, which was great. The 3rd and 7 where Mahomes did vintage Mahomes. He juked out the defender, number 0, that Chris Collinsworth literally was talking about the entire game, and I still don't remember his name. But number 0 got juked out by Mahomes, and Mahomes does a classic throw to Kelsey, 3rd and 7. Beautiful. Game sealed right there. We earned it.
Yeah.
Even if the kick doinked, it's our backup kicker. So
and to that point, I think the whole 4-minute drive, I think we played really well. I think we would have earned a loss as much as we would have earned a win right there. Right? Yeah. So if we had lost, I think we would have earned that. Obviously we won the game, so we earned that as well. However, we get the juke, we get the first down, right? The decision was made. We're just going to chew the clock down, wind it all the way down so our 4-string kicker can kick a field goal to win the game. I think, me personally, obviously I don't get paid, $500 billion to coach a football team. Why not run down the clock while also moving the ball forward, trying to score, right? I wouldn't. They know their guy better. Obviously, Matthew Wright's been, pretty solid. But do we really want our games coming down to our fourth-string kicker?
No.
Right. So, and obviously it came down to a doink for the division. So, I just find the decision to just kneel it out there and wind down the clock a little bit crazy. I think at least try and score. Try and put the end zone. Right? And if they try and let us score, just go down. The clock will still be running. Right? I just found that decision to be a little odd.
Yeah, I mean, but in the end of the day, like, we got the yards when we needed to get the yards, and we barely did. And I mean, it looked like vintage Mahomes again. It looked like, calm, collected. Everybody on offense seemed confident in what they were doing. D-Hop was out there more because, that's when we use him.
Got to keep him under his 60%.
Even if we make the Super Bowl, though, I don't get that. But, I guess we got to keep him healthy, too, because honestly, that hit he took, that scared me a little bit. But number 0 on the Chargers, I'll give you your credit. Dayon Henley. Jackson made me remember his name by typing it out. Yeah, he's a second-year linebacker out of Washington State. But, I mean, he had a great game. Don't get me wrong. And he guarded Kelsey pretty well, honestly. Yeah. And I didn't like that, they could use Derwin James on anything else other than guarding Kelsey. That's honestly the dangerous change that this Chargers team has. Is usually it was Kelsey versus Derwin James. But now it's, we have Henley. Derwin James can pass rush now. And that was really getting to us. Derwin James was blitzing I felt like dang near every third down.
Yeah, the Chargers' defensive scheme when it came to twists and stunts was really effective this game. And obviously, that's due to our tackles being terrible. But I think they just schemed up a really good game plan. They were just really moving our guys out of position. And it kind of forced across the board, besides Creed, to have some of their worst games of the season.
Well, at least Mahomes has cut out his turnover issues. This has been a problem throughout most of the season. And, honestly, maybe him not having as many turnovers is he's just even being safer with the ball than he was before. Like, maybe he's becoming less of the gunslinger self that he is, which stinks because I really miss that Mahomes. And I mean, at least we're not turning the ball over. We're winning games. We're being smart. He's probably taking more sacks than he used to, Garrett. I think that's the biggest change. I think Mahomes decided I'd rather take a 10-yard sack than a pick now. That seems to be the trade-off that we've had to go with. And that's a sad reality,
Which is fine, which I think is fine unless it's 3rd and 10 and you just chuck it deep for a punt pick, right?
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, I don't think he's going to be winning any type of award when it comes to, MVP race. So,
and that doesn't matter to him.
Give him a chance. Throw some balls up there, man.
And also, we got to talk about Turk Wharton, man. He had a really great game. I've always been a big Turk Wharton fan.
I love Turk, man.
He's an undrafted free agent out of Missouri S&T, and he had 2 sacks today, Garrett. Yeah. And apparently ESPN calls sacks TFLs as well, so it was 2 sacks, 2 TFLs, whatever. But he also had 3 QB hurries. Very, very efficient game for him. And
look, we love our athletic D tackles. What can we say?
Yes, and honestly, Chris Jones was getting triple teamed at times. So to see another defensive tackle do great, Wharton did amazing. Now talk about a defensive tackle who did not great. Derek Nottie had a hold that was on defense, which means you're getting beat if you're trying to hold
really
somebody back on defense. So, I mean, I haven't seen much from Nottie this year at all, and I think this is fine.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing behind, Turk and a guy like Mike Pennell, so you don't see a lot of him. Obviously, he was probably just a throw in there for a couple breathers, a couple breather reps.
Yeah, but he was so much more before.
Yeah, I mean, he was, but that was before, right?
Okay, Pennell's a lot older than him, but Pennell's just better. I mean,
Pennell's just the GOAT. What can we say?
Yeah, we love Mike Pennell in this podcast, guys. We're big Pennell supporters here. But let's talk about some of the bad. I mean, on the other side of the ball.
I mean, we've talked about a lot of the bad, but there's some other bad that we forgot to talk about.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, well,
as always.
A recap of a little bit, Mahomes did take 3 sacks in this game, continuing a trend of 3+ sacks. It's 5 pass deflections. A lot of those were at the line. There were guys getting bats at the line, and that's not good either because that's basically a dead sack. I call pass deflection at the line. That's a dead play. Nothing happens after that. So too many of those, but it's because we got away from the run too early, Garrett. And like you said, Jawan Taylor with his tell that tells us that we're passing or running, they just know to send their pressure. And, it's just, it's hard. It's hard,
Yeah.
honestly.
And there's a lot of defenses out there that they key their pressures off of guards and tackles, right? Well, if they see them drop back, they're sending their pressure. If they see them rush forward, they're playing the run. But when you see before the snap even goes, Jawan Taylor starts rocking back as a linebacker, I know, okay, this is passing down. Now I key my pass sets, right? So it's just adding on top of, it's just layering these terrible things that leads back to our tackles.
Yeah. And then defensively, we allowed Stone Smart, the tight end, to have his best game ever. Because what else would it be than a tight end 2? Not even a tight end 2, because he was supposed to be further down on the depth chart, but injuries brought him all the way up.
I said this, if me and David don't know who a player is, that's a really bad thing if they're going off against you. I had zero idea who Stone Smart was.
Hey, but that's the most yards he's had. He's had more yards in this game than he did
all season. So it's just classic. Random backup tight end has a career game against the Chiefs defense.
Speaking of, Quentin Johnston might just happen to be Mike Williams too, because Quentin Johnston tied his career high of 5 catches in a game. He had a touchdown this game as well. Mike Williams, if you guys are not familiar, is a former Chargers big body wide receiver. He tended to be injury prone, drop issues, but he would always go off against the Chiefs. Who does that remind you of, Garrett? Quentin Johnston. It's the exact same player. And honestly, I mean,
now is that due to Quentin Johnston being, the Mike Williams replacement, or is it just because our defense just... Now, I will say that came off of, we talked about this early in the group chat, Chargers came out in the second half, had like an 8-minute long 13-play drive, and then we respond with pretty much an extended 3 and out, right? Yeah. So immediately, defense is back out there, they're exhausted, and then the Chargers drive down there, do it again. So
they definitely took advantage of our defense in the first 2 drives of the game in the second half by just, running the clock, controlling time possession, and then their defense said, we got to get a quick stop on Mahomes so that our offense can get right back out there and do it again while that defense is still tired, and they didn't have time to adjust. Once we did have time to adjust, we took care of it. But, honestly, Harbaugh, great coaching. It's the first time in history, Garrett, that the Super Bowl winning coach coached against the college football champion coach. So, I mean, that's pretty cool.
I mean, and then, just another quick thing before, moving on from that is like, yeah, Quentin Johnston had a great game, and Joshua Palmer annihilated us while also being 2 inches away from probably winning the game and having double his yards and a touchdown. Yeah. It's just, he had multiple times where he's just a little bit off on the throw, and Joshua Palmer might have had like the best game of all time.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Palmer went off as well. As a guy that I've been waiting to be good for the Chargers, a guy that I've been thinking of a fantasy football sleeper for forever, but he cannot stay healthy. Like, he is allergic to being on the field. But, he was on the field and he made his presence known. And, I mean, he had a couple catches on McDuffie, so good work for Palmer. I mean, credit where credit's due. This Chargers defense is one of the best. I mean, they allow the least points in the game in the league, which is really impressive. And, Harbaugh's got them right. They're going to be okay. We might not. No, I'm kidding. We'll be okay too. But it was just a defensive game. It's a different type of football game. Will we be getting that next week, Garrett, though, with the new Browns? The old Browns, maybe it would have been, 20-17. But the new Browns, is it going to be 40-50? Like, I don't know, because this is a high-flying offense, and it's Jameis Winston City. Jameis Winston with the power of the Lord Jesus as he praises every game.
Jameis Winston so
it's
much.
So good, dude. It's cinema. And I can't wait for this game. I'm genuinely excited to watch this game. I hope Mahomes and Winston just have air
the
raid
duel
offense.
Of the century. Just the duel of the century. I would love to see it. Do I expect it to happen? Absolutely not. With the way our offense is playing right now. If we have to get in a duel, we're going to lose. The Browns are 3-10. However, 2 of their 3 wins came against really competitive opponents in the Ravens and the Steelers. Now, keep in mind, obviously, both division games, but they can play tough opponents tough. And Jameis Winston, he can play a really tough or he can play a really bad. So it just depends if he's on or off.
And honestly, too, that record is not indicative of this team. because that team used to have Deshaun Watson and they used to want their quarterback to get sacked, honestly. And now it's a team that is invigorated. They have something to play for. They enjoy ruining other teams' lives. And dude, everybody who plays the Chiefs is going to give it their best shot. And the Browns are going to be fully competitive, ready to play. Now, they are going to be missing a corner in Greg Newsome, who is really solid. He's had some flashes. He's doubtful with a hamstring injury. He probably won't play. But they have a really deep secondary, which I like their safety room. Their corners outside of Denzel Ward and Emerson are, they're there.
Right.
But they will be more than enough to handle us. So I don't know if we're going to be able to air raid on them. Hopefully they can't air raid on us. But run game, they don't do it. Nick Chubb has not been the same player that he has once been. And that's really sad because honestly, Nick Chubb is a fan favorite of mine. I love his famous game against, I think it was the Raiders, where he had 3 carries for 124 yards and 2 touchdowns. And that was like the game where they said, all right, fine, we're trading away Carlos Hyde. We found our guy in Nick Chubb. So it's sad to see that Nick Chubb is kind of been a non-factor this season. Yeah. And Jerome Ford has been a non-factor. The Browns cannot run the ball right now, but.
Yeah, and I think that honestly the scariest part about this game, right, is that we've talked about this past couple weeks. This is the start of our 3-game horrible stretch, right?
Oh, yeah.
We have Browns, Texans, Steelers, all within 10 days. So we play Browns this Sunday, then we play the next Sunday, then we play like a Wednesday. So it's 3 games in 10 days. 2 of those teams are playoff opponents. So yeah, it's going to be a rough stretch. We're already injured enough as it is. Basically,
and we got 2 more injuries.
And all the Chiefs are hoping for right now is we need to push for this bye week because we need it bad.
Yes. We need that first round bye. The Bills have a tough opponent in the Lions coming up, so hopefully they get a loss there. But besides the Lions, it's smooth sailing for the Bills. Garrett, what is it, like Patriots and then the Jets twice, or
so
the Jets and the Patriots
they
twice?
They obviously play the Lions this upcoming week, and that's going to be a really, really tough game. I can't wait to watch that one. If they win that one, they have a smooth sailing. They play the Patriots twice and the Jets once. So,
oh man,
most likely, if they beat the Lions, they're going to be sweeping the rest of their season, which means we will have to as well.
Yep, and
it'll be tough.
Wouldn't want it any other way, right, Garrett? I mean, you can't have it be easy, right?
Right, and obviously DJ Humphries gets injured. I gave him the benefit of the doubt. He's playing against guys like Khalil Mack and Bosa, but will it be any better this week? Because we're playing against Myles Garrett, who is even better. So we're going to get absolutely scorched on the outside by a guy like Myles Garrett. And I just don't see us really
scoring
getting a lot of points.
I still think we'll win this game because I think our defense, with the threat of the run being eliminated and McDuffie being able to, maybe McDuffie gets his first career interception because Jameis Winston loves to throw interceptions, Garrett, wouldn't it be a crazy prediction to say Trent McDuffie first interception? Do you think we'll have a pick 6 this game? Jameis did pray the pick 6s away, so we might not be able to get a pick 6. But
the issue with that is, it's like any time we make a prediction, it just somehow goes horribly awry. I feel like
no, it gets close. The thing is, it
really
gets super close.
It's like, so we're gonna get a pick and we're gonna get a return down to the 2-yard line. And then we're
McDuffie's
gonna have
McDuffie's gonna have an interception go through his hands to seal the game.
I haven't seen that one before. Yeah, I think Humphries played better in the second half. I mean, better than horrible is not saying much. I want to give him another game if he comes back healthy. If not, we have to find a tackle in the draft.
Really bad. Corn Doggy's watching the show. They said the Browns have the chance to do the funniest thing.
Yes, they do.
They do. And you know what would be even funnier is if Kadarius Toney, Browns and Chiefs legend, Super Bowl champion, jersey right here, actually, Kadarius Toney, a jersey. Why did I buy it? But I have it. Listen, we don't need to go into my purchase history.
We were on the hype train.
Yes,
we were on the hype train.
What if Kadarius Toney has a touchdown or something, or has a yard, has a catch?
If Josh Palmer can go crazy on us, for some reason, Kadarius Toney is going to go for like 150 yards on like 4 catches. It's going to be something stupid, and we're going to just see it coming from a mile away.
Now, he's not the only former Chief to return to play the Chiefs this week. You have Cam Thomas, who we traded for this season for a 7th-round pick swap, and we cut him because he wasn't, I guess, a good trade. And now he's on the Browns, so that's great for us. And then we got Juan Thornhill, who I actually loved when he was on the Chiefs.
Yeah, I was a big Juan guy.
Yeah, a great player. So we'll see Juan Thornhill.
A lot of returns. I mean, obviously, Kareem came back to us from Cleveland. Now we're going back to Cleveland with Kareem Hunt. That's kind of his big return game, kind of on both sides. Obviously, we talked about, Kadarius. It's a lot of we've have a lot of players going back and forth between the Browns and the Chiefs.
Yeah, including my favorite player, Emmanuel Ogbah, who we got from the Browns. But, Emmanuel Ogbah is long gone from Chiefs football. But hey,
my hopes for this game
I like to mention him anytime I can.
My hope and my prediction, we will have 20 carries with running backs in the first half. First half.
You think we're going to run
we
the
need
ball?
A power run game. Because are we going to block Myles Garrett ever? Absolutely not. It's just not going to happen. We just need to consistently just run the ball, see where Myles Garrett is on the line, call the play the other way, and pray. That's what needs to happen.
Did you almost say Kadarius Toney?
Oh, Kadarius, sorry. Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
See where he is.
No, Myles Garrett is definitely going to be a wrecking crew. They got some good linebackers out there too, and honestly, I think we got to run the ball, Garrett. I think we just got to power run. But this show's gone off the rails today, but I love it. I think this game will be one of the more entertaining games that we watch this season, especially given our recent...
it's Jameis. You can't have a non-entertaining game when Jameis is involved. So
no, absolutely. So score predictions, Garrett, high or low? Honestly,
it could
be anything. I really don't know.
You know what? We haven't had an explosive game all season, and it's going to be a ridiculous game with Jameis. I'm going 40-38. Chiefs win.
Holy cow. Okay, hold on.
Big game.
Isn't it still the Panthers who have scored the most points against us this season? That's a crazy stat too. But, I think we're going to keep it a little bit more contained. I would like to I think we get to like 32, something weird like that. And the Browns will get to 27. And it's just going to be, it will be lightning. I feel like all the lightning might come later in the game too. Like it'll take a while to get going.
Nothing in the first quarter as usual, because the first quarter Chiefs are like the worst team in the league. So,
dude, I know. I wish Jackson was here, he is. Jackson, can you get us a stat of when Chiefs have scored first drive touchdowns and first quarter touchdowns? Because it's been
a long time.
I haven't seen a first drive touchdown in a while, and I thought we were going to get one in this past game, but
while he's looking for that, just a couple little news around the league now that's coming close to playoffs. Basically, most of the AFC has been eliminated. It's coming real close down to the wire. Raiders, Patriots, Titans, Jets, Jags, and Browns all eliminated. Only one NFC team is eliminated currently, and that's the Giants.
Yeah, well, they are terrible, and I feel bad for Giants fans because I don't even think their roster is that bad, Garrett. That's a roster where most of those players made a playoff game and won it. I don't think their coach is bad. I don't even think Daniel Jones was that bad. I think that is an organizational issue that you just can't overcome. And until the owner is gone, I don't think that the Giants are going to see much success in any future years, because
it's like what I said, the Cowboys will win their first Super Bowl in a long time the moment Jerry Jones hits the dirt.
Yeah. You can't overcome bad ownership unless you have a great head coach and a great GM who have the power. Actually, you can't overcome bad ownership that's involved. If the ownership's too involved in the everyday stuff, it's just I feel bad for some of these teams that just can't escape bad ownership.
I mean, we've been there though. I mean, we've been in constant NFL depression for, the last 50 years before, Mahomes showed up, and even, that season before with Alex Smith where he had his career season before we, decided to start Mahomes. It's just we're in our moment in the spotlight. I'm sure, teams like the Giants will have, their heyday, but more devil magic to come. Probably on Sunday, we will see.
I will say, for some reason, that reminded me that over the weekend I did see the Hallmark sensation Holiday Touchdown, a Chiefs love story. And I saw it, so you don't have to, Garrett, because it was a
Why did
movie.
you? Okay, you need
It
to
was
explain why you watched it,
okay. So it
and
was
I'm gonna see if I'll judge you.
it was my girlfriend and I's anniversary, and after like a night of dinner and tired driving everywhere, we finally like just decided let's just watch this. It was hard watch, dude. It is written so bad. And
Shocker! Who would
the
have told you that one?
okay, but I thought it would be charmingly bad. Dude, the movie just okay. Oh my God, I'm gonna start ranting about this dang movie, but I shouldn't, but I will. They don't even have the correct schedule. Like they talk about historic events in Chiefs history. They talk about specific moments from specific games of literally last year, even, and specific players. Yet they have us playing the Eagles on Christmas is the plot point. And you know why I think it is? It's so they could have Jason Kelsey jerseys in the stands
Yeah.
too, because that was a part of it. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like if you're gonna make everything about like historically accurate and then all of a sudden, oh, we're playing the Eagles instead of the Steelers on Christmas. Oh, also they cut the movie ends literally right before the game starts. Like it ends on a cliffhanger.
Classic.
Holiday
Well,
touchdown adds on a cliffhanger.
we're talking Chop. We're talking Chiefs. We're talking terrible Chiefs related movies. So we're always just talking Chop, baby.
Oh no. Corn Doggy said it was so bad now they have to watch it. You should.
Chat GPT wrote the script. I agree.
No. Oh my God. There was also like I recorded it so it has like the little pop-up ads during the thing of like when Hallmark does their see next. Dude, they were trying to sell you the dang hat. That's the lucky hat like 3 times during the movie. It's literally like they show it and they're like, "Hey, do you want this hat? You can buy it online." What about the Mahomes cat? Listen, the Mahomes cat got like way less screen time than it needed. There was one scene with it, and Miko Hardman was the one who had it. But yeah, Garrett, do you think it's time to wrap up the show? We're hitting that
Yeah, I
magic
mean, we'll
hour.
get that last comment from Jackson. I think he finally has the first touchdown drives, but we'll see what that is.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
bet.
it does seem like it's been a while, but the last first drive touchdown we had was against the Panthers.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. It
All
feels
season though, we've only had 5 games with a first quarter touchdown.
wow.
Yeah.
And then first drive touchdown is only the Panthers game, or is it at least
No,
another
we've
one?
had we had the Panthers, we had the Saints,
So bad
uh,
teams.
the Ravens,
Okay.
and the Raiders.
Yeah, I mean that
this
was
the
week one
first
Ravens as well. So
Yeah,
But again, what is this, week 12? And we're known for scoring fast and first. We're the team that's known to have the Andy Reid has his opening drive game script, and this is going to score a
not
touchdown.
anymore. We're lucky to get a touchdown in a game at this point. So
Yeah, well, hopefully we get a lot of touchdowns in the Browns game. Hopefully the Browns put on a show for us, and hopefully we answer right back with a show. This is Talking Chop, guys. We love doing this show. We love doing it live. Love having Jackson, Garrett, all the guys. And see us next week. We're going to be talking about this Browns game.
hopefully after a dub,
review.
we'll see.
Yes, hopefully. That would be really sad. But hey, we're just talking chop, baby. Kadarius Toney, if you end up doing great, I don't know what we'll be able to do. We won't be able to do an episode. That's what'll happen. All right. See you guys.
Peace out.
Bye.